This is the Wandering Mind.
Welcome everyone to the Wandering Mind. Today I'm here with Tess. Hey Tess, how's it going?
Hey, Mark. I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Having a nice day.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me on your podcast.
Of course. I'm so excited. It's going to be a great episode.
I hope. I really hope. I'm hoping I'm interesting enough.
Yeah, you're probably not.
Oh, no, I don't think so either. That's why you invited me, right?
Exactly. So yeah, to get us started, if you can just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you from, what's your life been like?
Well, I'm from the Netherlands, and for the last time I've been traveling around the world. And now we're in New Zealand, so I'm very excited to be here. As I said, also very excited to be on your podcast. A little bit nervous. I just have to get that out of the way, say that, and hopefully the nerves fall out. But yeah.
That's natural. That's hard. So you spent your last couple of months traveling. Where have you been?
That's already a big question that you're asking. So I lived for 2 years in Australia and I worked there as well. And after those 2 years, my visa expired. So I was not totally sure what to do or where to go next. No living way, like where I wanted to settle down. So then I was talking with one of my friends, actually my roommate, and she was telling me that she was doing a world trip, saving up her money that she worked for and just travel around the world. And I got so inspired by that I thought, you know what, I really want to do that as well.
And it's so cool.
Yeah, the thought of it really scared me at that point. And then I was like, you know what? It's something I really want to do. If I don't do it now because I'm scared, I'll never do it. So I just pushed through the fear and I booked my trip. So I started off from Cairns to Sydney and visited some friends there. And in 2 weeks after that, I flew to Maui, Hawaii. I spent there 2 months and then went to Mexico for a month. Then after over 2 years, I went home to the Netherlands. So that was very exciting as well. Visited my friends, saw my dog again, so that was nice. There I was for 2 months. And in those 2 months, I went to Switzerland, Italy, Germany, and Belgium. And very close by. And then I went for a month to Spain. I was planning to work there, but I didn't really feel like I wanted to stay there for a longer time. I was in Barcelona. It was not really my city, so I decided not really it. And I applied for a working holiday visa in New Zealand. Went back home for a week and then flew to China and Australia and then to New Zealand to start my working holiday. So that's a bit summed up really fast what I've done for the last 7 months.
Well, you did all that in 7 months.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I actually didn't expect you to have done such a big trip. So you've seen a lot of this world already.
Yeah. I'm very grateful that I got this. Yeah, that I could do this. I worked hard for it, I have to say, but with that even, I'm very grateful that I got the opportunity.
So you've seen a lot of different places. You've seen a lot of different cultures. If you had it, what would you say is your favorite place? Do you have one?
Oh, that's hard. Well, Australia, that's for sure. Because I would love to go back there, but I also spent there 2 years. So, you get to know the people, the cultures and everything like that a bit better instead of, be there for a few days or a week or a month. It's so different.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I think Mexico was my favorite place I've seen so far. It's just so beautiful. The people were so nice. The food, amazing. I could live off tacos. Oh, it's so good. So I think, Mexico. Yeah.
Mexico. You already mentioned one of the topics that our podcast is very famous for as well, which is food.
Oh.
So we always...
I love talking about food.
I always spend quite some time talking about food. And you already said tacos. But since you mentioned Mexico, what would you say someone that goes to Mexico, what should they try there?
Oh, Obviously the tacos.
That's
The
obvious.
tacos. Yeah. Yeah. Just go to like street market, like a food market at night and walk past those little vending people places. I don't know how you call that in English anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just walk past that and you just go where the most people are and you just know that it's good. And to be honest, even if there's no one standing there, you still know it's going to be good because it's Mexico. It's just so good. The food is so good.
That's amazing. Um, yeah, you've been to a lot of other places as well. So, in general, what are some other dishes that you personally like, and you would say other people? Maybe something from the Netherlands as well that you could share with us.
Oh, the Dutch food is good. I some people would disagree with that, but I guess I grew up there, so I still love it, and do miss it when I'm on the other side of the world.
Right.
The snack bar. Dutch people will know what I say when I know what I'm talking about when I say snack bar with fries and just like a snack on the side. Um, but other dishes, the food in Italy was really good as well. Obviously, the pizza is very cheap
I
and
love Italian.
it's so good. It actually fills you up, and it's like, you're happy after that meal. You will be
Yeah,
like, oh, that was a good meal. So yeah, definitely Italian food. Well, not all Italian food. I don't really like pasta, to be honest, but the pizza and just what you can get on the street. And so
so good, my
I know you love pasta.
I really do.
Yeah.
But that's all right. We're all different
Well,
people.
I should not have said that on your podcast. I'm sorry.
No, that's why we do this as well.
Also, I'm
Because
sorry if I'm defending any Italian people right now, but
but, yeah, I think my favorite Italian dish. I mean, I've told it on the podcast. I think is lasagna. So I'm a big fan of pasta, but I also like pizza. So that's fine. You also mentioned that you spent, I think you said, 2 months in Maui, in
yes.
Hawaii.
Mhm.
That is quite a long time. So you probably got a lot of impressions from there as well, right?
Yeah, it is really beautiful. It was always a childhood dream of mine to be able to say, like, to live on Hawaii. Um, and I've seen quite a lot of the world already. So I had,
Good.
yeah, I had high expectations, and that's a bit of my mistake because you should never go somewhere with high expectations because then you could only disappoint it.
Mm,
Um, it's not that I was disappointed. It was just that I've seen some other places that I was like, oh, okay, it's quite expensive. Maui, quite expensive. So if
right.
there's other places that you can visit and you get the same wow effect, when you see something and it's like, wow.
Yeah,
But then way cheaper, that's great too, right?
definitely.
Um, but overall, yeah, it was just hard to get around because I don't have a driver's license. So I think I missed a few things that I would have loved to see as well. Um, so yeah, it was nice to be there. I'm really grateful that I got to experience that. But I wouldn't say it was my favorite destination.
Do you think, because when you just mentioned that, something came in my head, which maybe it was a me problem, but maybe other people experience it as well. Because I feel like the more you see of the world, maybe obviously everything is still spectacular, but
Mhm.
for me, it kind of loses a little bit of the magic. Because if you see like your 500th beach, your 500th mountain, maybe it loses a little bit of the glitter glamour. Do you think that's what contributed to you not really like seeing Maui that high up? Or do you think that's just a me
That's just a you problem. No, but I totally get what you mean with that. I don't think for me that was a problem with Maui because
problem?
after that I went to Mexico and I did have that moment still, that
Right.
wow moment. But I totally get what you mean. I guess it's just a bit of the environment. If it's kind of the same as the one that you went before, then it loses that touch. But if you go to like Maui and then to a whole different place with different environment, whole different cultures and everything like that, you get that shock again, like wow.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say it's a you problem, but I don't know if that was the problem from Maui. Yeah.
And I definitely wouldn't say that I had it everywhere because when I came to New Zealand, like I fell in love with this place immediately. Like I feel like here the people respect their nature so
Mhm.
much. Like you can really see it once you step off the plane. You feel like, yeah, the nature here is really still untouched, kind of.
Yes, yeah, I
Mm.
do agree on that here in New Zealand. I've not been here for a long time. I just actually nearly 2 weeks now.
Oh
Um,
yeah, has it been that long?
no, it hasn't, and I've been having busy weeks. So I had my first hike yesterday.
Oh yeah,
But with that on that hike, I already noticed that it was so beautiful, and I cannot wait to see more of the country.
definitely.
What would you say is your favorite part of New Zealand?
For me, the places I've been so far, so the people probably know if they listen to the other episodes, we kind of talked about me going to Queenstown, and that is only a few days away now.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna go down south, and I think I'm gonna like it there because I've seen a lot of pictures from my friends that have already been there. But so far, the places I've actually visited, I would say top on the North Island.
Okay.
Taupo for me was such a paradise. I got off the bus, and it's a city right next to a lake, big lake, and I was there. I believe in the best time as well. Like the sun was shining, it was so warm. Uh,
What season was it? Was it summer?
it was summer. It
Oh,
was
yeah,
the
that's
end of
perfect then.
January. It was the end of January, and I loved Taupo. It was such a cool place.
Ooh, I'm gonna keep that in mind. I'm not sure if I will go to the North Island, but if so, I'm gonna write it down.
People say as well, and a lot of people, especially well here in Christchurch, but in general as well, they say the South Island generally is more beautiful than the North Island.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well. Yeah, yeah.
But especially with that region in Taupo, and you also have, I don't want to butcher it because I don't know the city name exactly, but I think it's the Torarunga Palace. New Zealand people, I'm sorry. Um, but all that region next to Taupo, because there's a lot of mountains as well, not only the lake, but mountains surrounding the lake. I
Hmm.
feel like that is such a beautiful spot on the North Island that, in my opinion, people shouldn't miss out on. I really enjoyed it.
Well, that's a good recommendation. Thanks.
So, um, before we go back to New Zealand, maybe, I still want to catch up on your travels. Did you actually, on your way here, just go through China, or did you actually get to spend some time in China as well?
So it was kind of a crazy story. I'm not gonna lie. So I started this month. Well, in September. In September, it was a crazy month of traveling. So I went from Spain to the Netherlands for a week.
Mm,
Just because it was cheaper to fly to Australia from the Netherlands, because everyone would
right.
fly to Amsterdam, every airline. And then I was supposed to have a layover of 2 days in China. So I was
Mm,
supposed to like actually visit it and see some things around.
right.
But then I got a job in New Zealand.
Sure.
And then I had to cut my whole journey a bit short. Also, with I was supposed to stay
Right.
for a week in Australia as a layover, um, but that was also a bit shorter. So then I had 1 day in China. So I don't want to necessarily say that I've been there and seen it and fully. I've seen some things. I went out the airport and I walked around and I had some food. But I think there's so much more to explore. So I don't want to necessarily say that I've been there. Just again because there's so much more to see in a country.
Right. Yeah, I would have, like, if you've also spent like a couple of weeks or a month
Oh, I
there,
wish, yeah.
because China is also a topic that kind of spanned through the last episodes, because one of the guys, Fabian, that we interviewed, that I interviewed, rather, he is now in China.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, you told me that as well.
Yeah, he's in China now, so we kind of talked a little bit about what he is expecting from that, and
Mhm.
what, and I hope I see him again because he is going to Queenstown once he's
Oh,
back in New Zealand. So I hope to see him again and ask him how it actually was.
mhm. Yeah,
Um,
I guess you can ask him rather than me. Unfortunately, I wish I had some more time there.
so yeah, that's why I thought maybe you can shed some light on it, but
Mhm.
in one day,
Mhm.
probably can't really.
No.
So you mentioned before you started your whole trip, you spent 2 years in Australia before you did your whole trip. visited all the countries that we talked about.
Mhm.
So Australia is kind of where your heart is, right?
Yeah.
That's the country uh, that you grew to love, that you developed some friendships there.
So yeah, for someone who's been there for 2 years, I've not seen that much actually. I know a lot of people go there to like see a lot of cities and travel around. But when I went to Australia, I started off in Cairns. That's where my sister lives.
Mhm.
So I didn't see her for like 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And then
Well, yeah,
yeah,
because of COVID.
as well. But she already moved there before that. So
Right.
yeah, and so I went to visit her, saw her again, and stayed at her place for a while. And then I found a job in Cairns as well, on an island on the Great Barrier Reef. It was a crazy experience as well.
That sounds so nice.
It was beautiful, beautiful location. Met the best people there. Uh, so that's where I stayed for I think like 9 months. Then I moved to Sydney. Spent there, I think 8 months. I guess I'm not totally sure exactly
Oh,
how
that's
many.
quite some
Yeah,
time too, then.
yeah. There, I got a job. I had 2 jobs at the time. Also had New Year there. That's also like a
Oh, yeah.
very big thing.
Do they have fireworks now?
Oh no, they don't do that in Sydney.
They don't.
Of course they have. With like on the Harbour Bridge and everything like that. It was
Right.
beautiful. It was amazing. Um, it was really like a bucket list thing, and yeah. So I spent some time there, and then uh, it's so how it works with Australia. You have a visa for 1 year. You need to
Right.
do 3 months of regional work or like farm work or something like that to get a second year.
Yeah.
And then in your second year, to be able to get a third year, you need to work for 6 months in a certain uh, on a farm or like
Like these
certain area.
predefined
Yeah,
jobs.
exactly. And when I was in Sydney, one of the jobs that I had offered me to go to back to Cairns, where I could finish those 6 months of work.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I didn't really feel like, I want to go back there because I've seen it. I want to see some new places, but I do want to have that third year in my pocket. So
Okay.
I went back and stayed there for the rest of my time. Uh, in between, I also had some other cities that I visited: Brisbane, Gold Coast, Byron Bay, and Jervis Bay. All very beautiful as well. But yeah, most of my time I spent in Cairns and Sydney.
Both like bigger cities.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, to be fair, yeah, Cairns doesn't really feel like a big city sometimes. Because I spent quite some time in Cairns as well. I think I've been there for like 1.5 weeks when I was in Australia, and I only spent like 3 or 4 days in Sydney. Um, and Sydney to me basically felt like a huge city. I was like very overwhelmed with the city of
Yeah,
Sydney,
I understand that. Yeah.
and Cairns just felt like a tropical paradise. That sort of thing. Like Cairns was very easygoing, and yeah, it didn't really have that city feel to it, to me at least.
Isn't it crazy that one country had such different places? Like you
Definitely.
coming from Germany, I'm from the Netherlands, so we don't have that. Like you go to the other side of my country and you literally have kind of the same. But in
Yeah,
Australia, you have such different climates everywhere, so it's crazy.
it's such a huge island. So
I
that's
know.
like, yeah, that's why it has so many different places. Definitely.
What would you say is your favorite city in Australia?
So city wise, if I go from my own definition of a bigger city, I would
Mhm.
say Melbourne. I really like Melbourne. Even though at the time when I came there, because I flew in after my year in Indonesia. Well, after I was studying in Indonesia, I had 4 months before my studies continued in Germany. So I spent 3 of those months in Australia,
Mhm.
and I flew in right from Jakarta to Melbourne, and it was in July. So it was summer in Indonesia, and I came into the fall, beginning of winter in Melbourne. So I was freezing. Probably wasn't that cold objectively. It was like 12, 13 degrees, but that was freezing because I came from 40 degrees. And
Did you even bring winter like warm
no,
clothes?
I
No.
honestly didn't. I
Okay.
came there in my college jacket, like this one kind of that I wear right now. And got off the plane and I was like, this is freezing. So even though it was super cold, I fell in love with the city because
Mhm,
it's a nice city, and I feel like it has a good balance of uh, parks as well. Like you
mhm.
have nice green areas. Albert Park is beautiful, and I don't know what the name of the river is, but it has a river that goes straight through the city as well. Probably not Melbourne River, but it was a big river. It has a promenade across the river as well, like a little river walk. You can, um, so obviously, it was also my first impression of Australia, and I've never been to Australia before, so maybe that played a part in it as
Mhm.
well. But to me, Melbourne was a very cool city. Um, what I would more call a town was Noosa or
Oh,
Noosa
okay.
Heads.
Mhm.
And I really loved that place. That place to me was really beautiful because you firstly the people there are so relaxed. Like it's
I've heard
definitely
that before. A lot of my friends actually went there or someone is still living there, and they
yeah,
all say it's very relaxing.
I liked it. They're so close to nature as well. There's a national park
Mhm,
right next to it where you can do some hikes and just do the trails there, walking along the coast as
mhm.
well. So I think as my favorite place, I would have to say Noosa. So I
Hmm.
would say Noosa is definitely a great place.
Cannot wait to go back and visit a place like that as well, something new.
I'm gonna go back to Australia probably. Not
Probably.
not 90% after Queenstown. I'm gonna go to Australia
Okay.
because I'm
Oh,
already here.
yeah, you're on this side of the world, so why not?
So
If you have the opportunity, do it. Yeah.
so I would probably do it right after Queenstown. I'm gonna go to from Queenstown to Queensland, where it's a lot warmer than in Queenstown.
Yeah, it's kind of cold here right now.
Yeah, and it is gonna get warmer, but then I'm gonna go more south, so I make it colder for myself.
Well, I
But
cannot wait for like the full summer to be here.
shouldn't take that much longer. November should have good temperatures. Uh, well, I'm saying this with never being here in November, but that's what I heard from the
Not taking
locals.
your advice, that's for sure.
You shouldn't listen to me ever. It's a good thing to
So
say in
why
the
exactly
podcast
did you? Yeah, I want to say why did you start podcast?
because people shouldn't listen to me. That's why. Um, so yeah, obviously you've been in Cairnston for a long time. Was in as well, but also Cairns. Um, is that probably where you would go back to as well, or you said like you want to experience more of the country as well, or something?
At some point, I would like to see some more parts, also Western Australia, but I don't think that's gonna be anytime soon.
Mm.
Um, because I want to like settle down there, and find a place that can help me with that, work wise and everything like that. And I guess I don't want to say it's always the case, but I feel like bigger cities have a bit more opportunities, especially
Right.
sponsorships and stuff like that. So it's either gonna be Sydney or Gold Coast. I really like Gold Coast as well. Um, and or Cairns, yeah, Cairns is still an option. Also, because my sister lives there, it's nice to have her close and have family around.
Definitely. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's either gonna be one of those. Whatever it is, I'm really what's meant to be will be. And if something comes along the way, um, for example, in Sydney, well, it might be Sydney. If it's
Yeah.
gonna be, but even if it's gonna be somewhere that I don't really feel like going,
It's Melbourne.
exactly. I'm not really drawn to Melbourne, but if something happens and they say, okay, we can help you with sponsorship and everything like that, and it's gonna
Right.
be in Melbourne, again, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, even if it's not what you really want at that point. But hopefully it turns out well at the end. So then you can better go somewhere. What comes in your path, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Good.
Uh, yeah, Gold Coast definitely on my list as well because that's one. It's quite a big city, right? Gold Coast.
It's very spread out. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
yeah. I've heard a lot of people say no, it's not it. And my first time visiting was also not really it because I went to one very touristic spot. But
Right.
then my second time, I went stayed at a friend's house, and she showed me around, and then you experience it in such a different way.
That's so
Um,
true. Yeah.
Even actually, when I came here to New Zealand, I had a layover in Gold Coast, and um, my friends, the same friend, she came to the airport and took me to the beach because it was like an 8 hour layover.
All
And
right.
then I got to see again some parts of Gold Coast, and I was just like, wow, this is amazing. Just like literally having a layover in Gold Coast on the beach.
Just go
And
to
the
the
beach
beach.
was amazing, the weather was amazing. We had some nice food. So yeah, I guess it depends on where you go and how you experience it, but for me it was good. So yeah, I would recommend it.
Yeah, I kind of skipped it on my way because I went to Byron Bay,
Mhm.
which, if I'm not mistaken, is closed.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I skipped Gold Coast on the way to there. So
Oh, it's a good reason to go back.
definitely. And I can still do 2 years as well in Australia. Can do three because I'm already old. So speaking of about things that we can do, one question I ask everyone on the podcast is, what is your dream? What is your goal in life?
Oh, it's such a hard question. I guess it's for every part of my life. It's like a different goal. I rather call it a goal instead of a dream because a dream sounds so far out of reach.
Right.
Um, for now, I guess it is going back to Australia and having my like residency, I guess there, and or like a way back there. Um, but as cliche as it's gonna sound, the overall goal is to be happy, and that was kind of also my goal with this whole world trip, to find a place where I feel like I'm happiest, most happiest, and um, so far it's still Australia. But if maybe at the end of my year here, I'm like, wow, New Zealand is it. I might figure out a way to stay here for a longer time. But that is, to be honest, my end goal, just to go somewhere, to be somewhere, or become someone that is just happy in life with whatever job it's gonna be that I have, or with whatever living I do. Um, yeah, it sounds a bit cliche, but yeah, just my end goal is
It
and
doesn't
just to
at
be
all.
happy. Yeah.
It's a that's a great goal. Well, I can still call it dream,
Yeah, of
but
course.
if
No,
you
yeah.
no, but if you call it a goal, no, it's a great dream, a great goal. And funnily enough, I think the last episode I did was with Region. I think it was, yeah. But anyway, with Region, he told something similar
Oh,
because he also said, he's from Singapore.
okay.
He's a friend of mine from Singapore, and he said as well, like why he started traveling is to find a place where he can settle down,
Mhm.
where he wants to live, because he doesn't really feel like living in Singapore.
Mhm.
So that was part of um, his journey as well. So it's interesting, and to take myself into it, and to some degree, probably I'm doing the same thing. I wouldn't say that it's my primary goal because at the moment I'm not actively thinking about it. I'm not
Mhm.
thinking about where to settle down. Rather, I'm thinking about where to go next. So for
Yeah.
me, it's a little bit of a different mindset
Yeah.
because I just want to see a lot of places, not necessarily to settle down, but just to experience
Mhm.
them, experience more. And so as we also don't shy away from philosophical questions here on the podcast. Um, since you brought it up in your answer, your goal is to be happy. So, how do you personally define that? What makes you happy, or how is a person happy?
Well, for me, at this point in my life, uh, it's just to do whatever I want to do. So making my own decision, I think that is what makes me the happiest at this point in my life. Because I was always asking other people, like, oh, what should I do? What should I do? But now I can, yeah, I traveled around the world all by myself, and I made those decisions. And this whole trip has made me so happy. So I guess I need to follow my own advice more and my own decision instead of asking everyone else around me. Um, yeah, I guess that is what makes me happy at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. One thing that I can tell you. I feel like I've said it on one of the episodes. I don't know which one though. And I don't know if I said it in that much detail. But something I personally developed for myself is different definition of, or another way to look at the word selfish. Because some people might call it selfish to do what you like, just go with your own decisions. But I feel like it's the most selfless thing we can, because it everyone is selfish in that definition. Then we're all doing what is best for us, and by doing that, we're doing what is best for all of humanity. Because everyone should live up to their whole potential, and you can only do that if you do what you want.
Mhm.
If you follow, like you said, if you follow your decisions, if
Mhm.
you do what makes you happy. To go back to that word.
If I can add to that, I feel also like if that is if you do something that makes you happy and it seems a bit selfish to others, for example, also moving to the other side of the world is kind of like a big step. Um, but if that makes someone happy, that you can share that happiness with others as well. Um,
Yes.
and if you're always miserable in the place that you grew up in or something like that, and you're staying there for other people, you are not going to be the best company either. And yeah, maybe you have some less time together. You will barely see each other, but this time and age, we have a phone, we can FaceTime, we can call, we can text, and you can really already feel someone's happiness through over the phone as well. And
Definitely.
that's, I guess that can make someone else happy as well. It makes me happy to see my friends happy. Um, and if they want to move somewhere, if I was staying in the Netherlands and they would move to the other side of the world and see them happy, the roles were reversed, that would still make me, I would be really happy for them. I would be really proud for them.
Yeah, that's also something we touched on the podcast every now and then. Is and I personally feel this way, that you really change the people around you as well.
Mhm, yeah, I agree.
People do pick up on your vibes. If you are unhappy, you might feel like every person out there is such a horrible person. They just reflect what you put out in the world.
Mhm,
And if you are happy and if you live a fulfilled life, that's my word. I'm just like,
mhm,
if you live a fulfilled life and people see that you follow your dreams, again, I'm using my words,
mhm. No, no,
um,
you should, you should.
like, then this really changes your environment as well. Like other people can get inspiration from that as well, and everyone else uh, gets so happy as well. Um, I don't think I told that story yet, but I had that moment when my parents visited me in Portugal, because basically after my studies, when I decided to move to Portugal to work in a call center, you can imagine that they weren't super happy. They obviously were always very supportive of everything that I wanted to do because I was never like a going with society kind of child.
Mhm.
Um, so they were used to it and they were really, really supportive. But obviously, there were questions like also from my grandmother and my grandparents, like, why are you doing this? You're earning less money and like you're not even working in the thing you studied for. And basically, my answer at that point was that's what I feel like doing. That's what I feel like makes me the most happiest at that point in
Mhm.
time. And they basically were like, "Yeah, well, okay, we're not gonna stop
Yeah.
you anyway. Like, we can't stop you from going there." But then my parents, because I also moved to Portugal in the time of COVID,
Oh, okay.
so the first time they in August 2020, so the first time they actually could visit me, I actually flew back, I think, in 2022 or something to Germany, I think. And they actually came to Portugal as well to visit me there. I think it was 2023, so like 3 years later.
Mhm.
And one thing my mom said to me when we were just walking through Lisbon, looking at the sunset, she was like, "You're happy here, right?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah." She's, "I get it now."
Oh.
That was
Oh, that's beautiful. It's
that.
so good to have such a good support system behind you that, well.
Yeah. I love that story. I never
Yeah.
actually told that story, I think, but
That's a
that's
good story to tell. Yeah.
that's a nice story. So I feel like, yeah, you can also reach the people around you, and
Mhm.
you can also, well, not that you want to change a mindset, like that's
Mm-mm.
not the goal of it, but it's like just changing their perception and their
Yeah.
their happiness as well, you know.
And maybe it is something they are already thinking about, but they're too afraid to like, really speak out loud. And then if you can inspire someone or influence someone in some way by sharing it.
So yeah, for me as well, and I feel also for a lot of people that I did the podcast with, but that's also because we're doing it in New Zealand, where a lot of people are traveling. So a lot of people kind of have the same mindset. But I also feel like traveling and seeing new places really helps in, well, finding yourself, finding happiness in like everyday things, like all these sorts of things. Do you also experience like traveling is like has a really great impact on your life?
Oh, 100,000%. Yeah, for sure. It has changed my life and for the best. Like, I think if I would not have traveled, I don't know where I would be in my life, to be honest. Um, you really learn to be independent and really take care of yourself. Yeah, with this whole trip, I think I don't know if I already said it, but I did it on my own. And you can feel alone, but you don't necessarily need to feel lonely. And that is what I really learned from this. Because sometimes when you're at home and you don't have people around you, you're like, oh man, no, I don't have friends around me right now. I feel lonely and stuff like that. But when you start traveling, you notice sometimes you don't have people around you that you know. Like you're in a new city, you I,
Yeah,
you see new people, you see, and sometimes it connects, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes there's language barrier, so it's hard to get to know new people. But it doesn't necessarily have to make you feel lonely. And that is something really important that you need to learn to be alone in your life and really be able to do that on your own. So I really learned a lot from traveling and living on my own. And yeah, that's a really good impact on me.
that's a very great point that you just added there, because that's also one of the things in my life that, to be fair, I never really had a problem with, that I really liked to always work on getting better as well, is being alone. Because I do know that a lot of people, a lot of my friends, told me like they have problem with just being alone. They kind of feel uncomfortable
Mm,
being alone, and that's why they surround themselves a lot with other people. If you wanted to be more extreme, that's why they numb themselves down
yeah, yeah.
with drugs or alcohol, which is also a drug, but uh, a socially accepted drug.
No, I totally get what you mean with that. That's a lot of people have that. Um, but I guess at some point in your life it will come up and you'll realize that you will feel even lonely when you're around the wrong people. And
Yeah,
and then it can hit. If you have never worked on it or never thought about it, that you always need to be around people and you cannot do it on your own. And then at some point in your life something happens and you do need to do it, or you something else, I don't know, something happens and you're around the wrong people that can even make you feel more lonely and more isolated.
exactly.
Um, yeah, but I've heard a lot of people who uh, yet cannot do it really either.
Yeah, but that's again another point. But I feel like we are being very cliche here. But
I
uh,
know.
that's
My friends know me. I kind of am. I always have like those sayings, of, everything happens for a reason, stuff like this. Very cliche, but it is what
everything. Well, you said it, no?
it
But because I already said it on some podcasts, I truly believe things happen for a reason.
Mm,
I talked with a lot of guests, and some of the guests agreed, some didn't. But if I might ask,
mhm,
is that where you get your, well, I'm just going to use the word purpose,
mhm.
but is that where you get your purpose from as well? Is that what you believe in? Things happen for a reason. Is that where you get your purpose.
That is a good question, and I kind of do and I kind of don't because I believe that you need to work very hard for it. Uh, and then everything happens for a reason. You cannot just sit in your room and be like, everything happens for a reason.
No.
Someone will knock on my door, or an
Yeah.
opportunity will knock on my door, and it will happen. It doesn't work like that. You need to work hard for it, and then you can let go of the control a little bit. Like I've put in the work, and now what happens will happen. If it's meant for me, it will be. Not a cliche sentence, but I really believe in that. You need to work hard for it, and then it will roll. Then it will starts rolling, and then you will see what will happen.
Yeah. Yeah. That's also always something that I don't like if people kind of use it in a way to describe their laziness or their like non-activeness. They say
Yeah.
because yeah, things don't just come to you. I
hmm
definitely don't believe in that as well. I also believe in that you. Well, I feel like we just got all the. I don't even have it. Well, now I have Instagram, but like we're doing all the cliche things. But you have to work for your luck. Like you
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
create your
Yeah.
own luck kind of thing. But I also definitely believe that the universe, that's what I call it, that the
hmm
universe has a flow and that uh, if things happen for a reason, that there are signs out there. That's definitely something I personally believe in. And that's why I get a lot of strength and a lot of purpose. So, on that topic, another thing we talk about here is the definition of legacy, what we as human beings leave behind, whatever that might mean to different people. So, in your life, is that something you think about? How would you define or go at like creating a legacy for yourself?
That's a good question, and I've said it for your questions now, but every question that you ask is a good one. Uh, to be honest, I have never really thought about it that much because it's kind of overwhelming.
Right.
If you think a lot about the future, you can get anxious very fast, and if you think about a lot about the
Definitely.
past, you get other things that you don't want to think about. So I feel like I try to live more in the moment as of now in my life. And maybe that is something I want to think about more when I get a bit older. But yeah, I've never really, really thought about, I want to have this as a legacy. I guess for you, the podcast is a really good start for that, right?
Yeah. So, for me personally, I don't think I've answered that question yet. So, very good question. um, for me, for a long time, legacy could only happen on a very broad scale. So,
hmm
when I was growing up, I kind of had that uh, little insecurity inside of myself where I was like, I need to be famous. I,
Really?
yeah,
Yeah.
I had that. I was like, I, I need to. I mean, obviously, I told myself I want to be,
hmm
but it was a kind of I need to be famous to be
Oh,
recognized,
and that part,
to
yeah.
have done something great. Um, and I still kind of go towards that thing. Like I'm just trying to do things to put myself out there, to put stuff out there for other people because I feel like it can be helpful to other people.
hmm
Um, so that's kind of where Um, it switched to a little bit because I always loved to work with people as well. And then when I was working as a trainer, that kind of manifested more and more um, that it doesn't have to be on a broad scale. Even if it's one person and no one knows about it, and
Yeah.
you have changed that person's life, obviously in a good way. And you can, of course, if you're inconsiderate in life, also very easily change people's lives to the worst.
Yeah,
And
for
I'm
sure.
trying not to do that. Yeah. So in that kind of sense, I've changed my definition from really a big scale to I just want to live my like you kind of said. It's also a big part of my life to just live in the moment,
Yeah.
to just enjoy the moment and wherever I am, wherever life takes, me, just to try to leave a legacy with the people that are close to me, with the
Like
people
small
that I
little
like.
crumbs everywhere you go. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's kind of where it is for me right now, trying to make positive impact on everyone
Yeah.
that I meet.
I guess what you were saying about like being famous kind of things, and then you need to be held famous to leave a big legacy. It is, I guess, it is easier because you will reach more people, and it is good if you have really, just generally speaking, if someone wants to become famous and really has something good to spread, that is the perfect way to do it, I guess. But
Yeah.
it's not the only way. As you said, you were a trainer. You met a lot of people. Also with traveling, you meet a lot of people. You can even talk with one person that you meet on the street and have a good conversation. I've had conversations with people on the street and they left me thinking about, oh, okay, wow. Oh, as I said, my roommate, we had just a small conversation about her whole world trip that she was planning. She
Yeah.
influenced me to do that, and that has changed my life. So, a small conversation can already change someone's life, and the ball is rolling for other people as well. Now we are sitting here having this conversation. Maybe you take something out of this conversation with me, and I'll take something out of other way around as well. Um, so yeah, it doesn't have to be big and massive, because that is what everyone is about these days. Everything needs to be
Yeah.
bigger, better, more, more, more. It doesn't have to be like that. Um, but I guess that's a lot of people have opinions on that, so that might be a tricky topic.
Well, we also don't care about cricket topics here. Yeah. So you also said that a big part of your happiness is being in the moment, not worrying too much about the past and the future, but enjoying every single moment. So has that ever, or has that always come easy to you? And if not, because there might be people struggling with that as well. Like, how would you say can you get used to that living in the moment?
Hmm. No, it has never really come easy to me, and I'm still struggling with it. To do that, to live by that. Um, I guess it is. I think for everyone, it's kind of hard. I really admire someone who can actually really fully always live in the moment, because there's a future to think about. You have things in the past that has happened that you will take
Yes.
with you. Um, so no, it has never really come easy to me. Um, how I try to manage it is just sometimes you're overthinking and then you need to tell yourself to stop for a second. And how I try to do it is look where you are, look where you are right now. But I guess if you are in a shitty situation, it's not easy to say that to yourself. Um, and when I was inside those shitty situations, I would tell myself the goal that I was looking forward to and take it like really step by step, like small steps, and then not everything all at once. Not, you have one goal, feel shitty at that point. Think about that, because that's going to be overwhelming over time as well.
Yeah.
So I guess just take it step by step, and then you'll get yourself out of that. And then whenever you're out of that situation that you feel shit in, then you can, then you can start thinking about living day by day. And then you can think of yourself, look how far I've come, look what I've done. Um, because the rhymes and it's kind of cliche, but yeah, that's a little bit how I try to think. Yeah, for now, I'm in New Zealand. Literally, I've seen so much of the world. I'm very proud of myself. And I hope other people can think like that as well when they're in those moments. So I guess that.
Yeah. I, I like what you said as well because we already learned about you as well that you have a goal, right? You have
Hmm.
something you work towards, and so it doesn't mean that you don't care about the future.
Hmm.
Doesn't mean that you
No,
don't
yeah.
know where you're going. Um, but as you said, it's just about not overthinking
Hmm.
because all we well again people are used to us by now. It's going to be very cliche, but
If
all
you don't like it, just click away.
exactly. Um, all we have is the present.
Yes.
Like we always live in the present. That's the only time that we actually live
Hmm.
in, is always the present.
Yes.
So um, once you know where you're going, and I feel like you already mentioned that as well, it does become easier as well to just go with the flow and
It
be
does, but I feel like there obviously were moments in my life that I didn't know where to go or what to do. And that is, I think, the hardest part, because then if you
very
don't have a goal, like what are you working towards? And then it gets really dark in your head, I guess. Um, and then, yeah, then it's really hard to get out, I guess, to really focus on that goal. But so if you don't have a goal, sometimes that can be really nice to think about as well. Like, whoa, there's literally nothing that I have to think about right now. There's nothing,
Right.
that goal can also come with pressure. Um, but at this point, I'm free to do whatever I want. I could take this job on, or I can go, even the smallest things. I can go for a walk now. I don't have
Yeah.
anything to do right now. I can go for a walk. I can watch a TV show that I want to watch. Like the small things can also help you to find that goal. Because if you don't have one, then you don't know what to work towards.
All right. I feel like that's a good point to close it off, as we covered a lot of interesting facts. We really talked about a lot of interesting topics. We covered your journey through the world. And then the second part, we also talked about some life experiences, some ways to approach life. And I think, uh, yeah, all that was very interesting. So, again, Tess, thank you so much for coming by today. Of
Yeah, thanks again for inviting me and listening to me as well.
course. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. And bye, everyone.